Doctor Who is rare in that it always has completely different episodes each week, set in different places with different villains. However, this sometimes means that episodes could do with a sequel to further see what happens next, especially when it comes to episodes that end with cliffhangers and teases that we never get an answer for. So here are 4 Doctor Who episodes that could really do with a sequel. One of the most annoying ways to wrap up a story is an unresolved cliffhanger. Whilst it does get your imagination running wild as you think of where things go, it also leaves you wanting a proper answer. As unpopular as it is, 2015's found footage horror episode Sleep No More could definitely do with a sequel. Sleep No More centred around the Doctor and Clara on board the abandoned Le Verrier space station orbiting Neptune. The episode deals with the Morpheus pods, which compress a month's worth of sleep in just a few minutes. However, a signal inside the system turns users into the Sandmen, who are made up of that gunky stuff in the corner of your eye. The episode ends with the Doctor, Clara and Nagata escaping as the space station crashes, with the threat seemingly eliminated. However, at the end, it is revealed that the recovered footage of the space station has been infected with the Morpheus signal, implying that the signal will spread further. As of early 2020, this cliffhanger has never been explored, despite writer Mark Gatiss himself having said that he wants to make a sequel. There are actually quite a few ways to make a Sleep No More sequel. Personally, I'd set it up as close to the original episode as possible, but presented like a more traditional Doctor Who episode, without the found footage. The current Doctor would find themselves on Triton, where they reunite with Nagata, who is trying to prevent the rise of the Sandmen after the Morpheus signal spread across the moon. It would give us closure to the story and also give the opportunity to expand upon the Sandmen, possibly making them scarier, since a big complaint of Sleep No More is that the Sandmen weren't scary, which makes sense because they're giant creatures made out of walking eye gunk. A relatively unknown serial, 1964's The Keys of Marinus saw the Doctor, Susan, Ian and Barbara land on the planet of Marinus, where they are tasked with collecting 5 keys in order to restore the conscience of Marinus, a computer responsible for maintaining law and order. The serial itself ends pretty definitively with the time travellers outsmarting the invading Vord, who are destroyed alongside the conscience of Marinus. However, in later stories, including the televised story The Doctor Falls, Marinus is credited as being one of the places the Cybermen originated. It would be interesting to see a story on Marinus as the Cybermen there are created. It could even be directly linked to the destruction of the conscience of Marinus, as the people of Marinus find themselves dependent on technology to govern their lives, eventually leading them down the slippery slope of cyber enhancements that results in Cybermen. We could also see how the Vord are involved, since they have not returned to the show since, and could be involved further. The Vord are an interesting enemy thanks to the audio play Domain of the Vord. When they invade planets, the Vord convert natives into Vord creatures by making them wear Vord masks and suits, which fuse with the wearer and can only be removed at the cost of their life. An interesting path to go down could be that the people of Marinus end up becoming Cybermen out of fear of being made into Vord creatures, with the thematic irony being that they're still losing their identity by converting to something else, which is what they're trying to fight against.
But I don't believe that man was made to be controlled by machines. Machines can make laws, but they cannot preserve justice. Only human beings can do that.
In 2016, Doctor Who decided to piggyback off of the success of superhero movies by making their own superhero-focused episode. The Return of Dr. Mysterio was that year's Christmas special, but it had as much to do with Christmas as eating a box of celebrations in July. The episode saw a young child named Grant accidentally become a superhero by swallowing a magical gemstone. When he's an adult, he and the Doctor team up to stop the multinational secretly alien company Harmony Shawls from taking over the world with a false flag alien attack. The Return of Dr. Mysterio itself is kind of a sequel to 2015's special, The Husbands of River Song. It features the return of Nardole and those weird guys with heads that split in half, along with the Doctor mourning River Song. However, at the end of The Return of Dr. Mysterio, there is a bit of a stinger, with units shutting down Harmony Shoals. However, we can see that villain Dr. Sims has escaped by putting his brain inside of a unit soldier. hinting at a return for those weird guys with heads that split in half. Maybe then we'll actually get a name for them. I wouldn't really know how a sequel could play out, but it would be the perfect way to reintroduce UNIT, having not appeared since the return of Dr. Mysterio. Aside from the 2019 special resolution, establishing that UNIT has been suspended since Dr. Sims was shown to be infiltrating UNIT, we could learn that he has been slowly climbing his way through the ranks and implanting alien brains into UNIT higher-ups to take it down from the inside. The unnamed aliens are similar to the Slovene in how they can take other people's bodies and puppet them to infiltrate governments and important organisations. The problem with this idea is that UNIT has already recently been infiltrated twice in a row by Zygons, meaning that you'd think their security would be a little tighter by now. I mean, their defence is leakier than Arsenal Football Club.
Scooby-Doo, open your eyes, mate! Shaggy's running around like a headless chicken!
Neil Gaiman's Nightmare in Silver saw the Doctor, Clara, Angie and Artie travel to Hedgewick's World of Wonders, a theme park which soon becomes the battleground between humans and Cybermen. The episode ends with the entire planet blowing up to defeat the Cyberman army. However, a Cybermite is shown to survive, floating in space among the debris, which is a nod to the ending of Season 5's Tomb of the Cybermen, which kind of never got resolved either. A sequel to Nightmare in Silver could be built around this last surviving Cybermite finding a way to rebuild the Cyberman army. It could end up on a mining spaceship travelling through the system, picking off the crew one by converting them into Cyberman drones, such as Webley and the children in Nightmare in Silver. Think Alien, but with Cybermen. It could either be a traditional Doctor Who episode, or it could be a Doctor Light episode. Personally, I would go extreme with it and make it like Mission to the Unknown, where the Doctor doesn't appear at all. The crew of the ship would have to try and fight against these drones and avoid conversion, before ultimately crashing the ship at the end of the episode. This would lead into a further story, where the Doctor and their companion come across the crash site, which has become infused with virus-like cyber technology, similar to the proto-molecule in The Expanse. Eventually, the Doctor would come across the Cybermite, which has managed to upgrade into a new form of cyber controller, hell-bent on revenge on the Doctor. I feel like this duology would create a unique and interesting conclusion for Nightmare in Silver's tease, along with using the Cybermen in a creative new way, rather than the same ways as usual. But it would probably be too experimental for Doctor Who, because as we all know, experimental Doctor Who episodes are either universally loved or universally hated. It would probably be a bit too risky. Those were 4 stories that could do with a sequel to expand upon their endings. Are there any stories you think need a sequel? If so, how would you do them? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.